Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today I got former 1% club member, Bob. Yeah, you hear that a lot over there. It's like they all have military grade weapons, machine guns, and different crazy guns like AK-47s and
and that's
right.
why I just picked that up on a documentary somewhere about they have arms caches all through the country.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's quite as easy as I made it sound, but
Didn't
they
you
are.
say a guy whipped a grenade out and said something? It was you
No,
that said that, right? The guy whipped a
no,
grenade out and said, and you're like, what the hell are you doing with that?
no,
Maybe I'm
no.
thinking of someone else.
Yeah, it might have been someone else. Yeah,
I
no,
did interview. I interviewed a guy from Denmark who's involved with a motorcycle club, and maybe I'm thinking of him.
could have been him. I have had the pleasure of like grabbing and seeing one of those things, but I don't know, man. I think the one out, he's like, take it and put it over there out of my vehicle. And I'm like, bro, it looks like it's sweating, man. You think we should even have this thing? Like, where's it from?
Did you see any Bandidos while you were out in England?
No. The only time I met a bandito was at Bike Week, which was only a couple months before I ended up in England. So and then in Ireland, we were partying up, and we got up the next day, and there was a guy in Dublin who worked for the Postal Service who was wanted in England for attempted murder of a police officer. I think he got a 12 gauge in the guy's face and it misfired. And he went on the run, and they gave him a job at the Postal Service, and they wouldn't fucking deport him. There's no treaty with Southern Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's insane.
I met this other club down there called the Chosen Few. They were cool guys too. I think they were another Irish club.
Are they the same club that's in the United States?
I'm not sure because there's the Chosen Few that are in both countries. And same with the Outcasts, because there's Outcasts in America too.
Yeah.
I think there's a black set in America, but there's Outcasts, and their patches look very similar. It's a skull with a big long top hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look into it.
So the Chosen Few guys, the guys from England were busting their balls, calling them Chosen One or Two, but some of their guys were telling me that they were, that when they tell stories about the IRA and stuff in Ireland, there is one. It's not as made up. It's not as a tale. It's a true story.
Yeah.
So we're at, you shoot the BB guns and you shoot the star out at a state fair.
Yeah.
So we're at one of them games, and the BBs go everywhere, right? Well, these guys are hitting the stars out. They're sighting them in with the first one or two BBs and shooting the stars.
Because they're like marksmen, right?
I'm like, where'd you learn how to shoot like that? He's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, yeah, fucking wild, eh?
Did the cops mess with them guys a lot? And did you have any interactions with the police?
No, it was surprising. Not too bad at all. Never got pulled over when they were driving me around. Never got pulled over on a motorcycle. I bought a little Volkswagen car so I could drive myself around. I never insured it or nothing. I just used it when I needed to, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And at some point, we ended up living. There was a pub in Birmingham, and they needed security. So to get me and Joe out of the clubhouse, they set us up to be the security for this pub, and we lived upstairs of the pub. It's like, fucking just lived there, ate the food out of the fridge in the kitchen, drank beer, did whatever, right? Yeah.
Did you have to kick anyone out?
We didn't even fucking sit inside the bar. We didn't care. Security, nothing. It's a pub full of old people, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was pretty cool. So yeah, the Chosen One or Two, because those guys were asking me, they're saying, you got the 1,000-yard stare, and it's some army term about, if you've been in the middle of a firefight or something, the army guys come back with that look in their face and And then I told them the story about the guys at the bar and what had happened. They said, okay, well, that explains it. Because after a while, you start to understand when you go into public places, you position yourself strategically and all that.
Yeah.
Like it's true, you know. After all, it's just gets built in how you think and how you do things, how you move.
Definitely. So how long do you end up staying in this country for? London,
So
England.
so I'm watching the trial. This is the early days of the internet, bro. When it bing 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 through the phone, remember?
Yeah.
So they would have to take me to the one guy's house in the chapter who happened to have internet because it wasn't like it was everywhere yet. And then I would log in. It would take me, half an hour, anyways. So
That was the O.J. Simpson days, right? Or before? That was after that, right? O.J. Simpson goes on trial.
99. It was around 99, 2000, right around there.
Yeah.
So the prelim ends to get bound to trial, and their defense is that after what happened, and they pulled out in the car and they split, that I came out and took a gun from a dying Willie's hand and stashed it inside the bar somewhere. And that in actuality, what had happened is they were out there in the parking lot wanting to talk to Willie and them some more and see if they could work it out. And Willie came out and shot at him, and they shot him back and shot them both and killed them both in self-defense. And
there had no proof that your guy shot at them.
Not a thing, not a bullet strike on the wall of the bar, not a, no cop checked any of the Willie's or Mr. J's hands for gunshot powder, whatever they call that, right? We've all watched all them CSI shows. Like everyone in the world has seen it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't think to preserve the hands, to check it out thoroughly, you know what I mean? So
do you ever feel bad that you didn't testify in order to get these guys?
No, because that was just in the rules that I live by. I've never felt bad about that, to be honest with you. No, because that was in the rules and I knew the rules going into it, and that was it. I had to live by it. Well, I didn't have to, but I chose to go by the rules, right?
Yeah.
When I got back, and there was a warrant for me, a bench warrant for missing court, of course. So I got back and came to the clubhouse because the flight was in the middle of the night. And then, like you say, the boss was there and he asked me some questions. We chatted. And I said, yeah. I said, a couple more guys need to get their Harleys because Harleys are expensive over there, right? I said, but other than that, how they move, how their clubhouses are, and how they're running, yeah, they're good to go. So a couple months later, a contingent from the States and Canada went over there and did the mass party and the big patch over and a big celebration. I didn't have the funds to go back at the time, so I actually wasn't there in person. But Bandit went. Oh yeah, and when I was there, Bandit and Hammer flew their bikes over and hung out with us for 2 weeks.
Oh, they did. They came and seen you guys.
Yeah, and they brought me some of my club clothes and my jewelry. I felt more like myself again with my gear on, right? And it's like, yeah, thanks, guys. And they dropped all the fluids out of their bikes, put them on an airplane, flew them over, rode their bikes around on their way up to Birmingham to hook up with me up the highway. They got pulled over. And they were in their Outlaws Canada patches. And the cops are like, oh, my God. He's like, how long are you guys here for? That's all he wanted to know. He said, 2 weeks. He said, you promised? He said, 2 weeks. Okay, where are you going? Birmingham. Do you know how to get there, what you're doing? Yep. Okay, be safe.
Now, when these guys are there with their outlaw cuts on, are they treating them like, wow? Are they looking at them like...
Oh, yeah. Those guys got the ultimate treatment. So I know during the last interview, I mentioned that they had a big biker festival. So when they came, it was during that weekend of that biker festival was in the trip. And And so they rode their bikes with the patch from Birmingham to the bike festival. And then, of course, because it was Outlaws that hosted and put on that festival, we were off in the designated club guys only section, right? So yeah.
That's awesome.
And a bunch of guys from the States came up to the biker festival too. So by that time, I've been with these guys for about 6 months or so, maybe a little less. And I'm treating them like I've known them for years, and we're calling each other names, and you know how you do with your friends out of fun and talking shit about each other. And the guys from America are like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, fucking don't lose these guys on me. But no, it turned out I was the guy that convinced them to come. You know, they
That's
were like,
awesome.
yeah, they came 1, 2, I think 3 or 4 couples, because I met all their wives, and their wives cooked me home cooked meals and all that shit, man. They took care of me so well. And I think 4 couples came over for my wedding, because I got married about a year after getting home.
Oh, they came and visited you after?
Yeah. The men didn't get through the airport. The men got sent home, but the women still came to the wedding.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Like, that's respect. Like, these guys, I always love these guys, man. They showed so much respect, and
Are they? Do you know if they're still involved with the club?
I got no idea about none of them. No.
Well, if they see this, reach out, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Reach out.
Yeah.
Get a hold of me on my channel or whatever. Fuck yeah, on Facebook.
Yeah.
I made a mention because there was one guy who was a retired guy from the club, and he was one of the top tattoo guys, and they got him to do that big shoulder piece, that big gargoyle piece, and he laid that on me for nothing one afternoon, and it still looks beautiful, Dato. So I reached out to him on Facebook, but you know, he didn't respond or nothing. But you know, who knows?
So when you get back, how long until you find out, like, if they're gonna pick you up? You got to turn yourself in. What happens with that?
Yeah, so I went back. I talked to the guy, to my boss there, the region guy, and I just went right from there to the police station. I had my lawyer. I'd already set it up from England. I called him. He was waiting for me on that side. They arrested me there in the police station, put me in cells, took me down to the courthouse, put me in cells down there. I sat down there for about 3-4 hours. And then my lawyer came down. He said, they're dropping the charges. You're going home. And that was it. It was over. Done.
So they didn't. Is the trial still didn't start yet? And they did the preliminaries already, or
no? I stayed until the trial was done, and that self-defense bullshit that they ran worked for them, and they beat the charges.
Wow.
Yeah. So they still had to go to the penitentiary for the original drug charges that they were on bail for, and that was it. They beat the murder charges. I've never seen them guys ever since.
Yeah, you never hear what happens with them in their life. They don't get killed down the road or nothing like that.
No, I think the oldest one got caught one time. I know the papers made it sound like he had an addiction on the rock pipe, and he held up a variety store and picked up, I think, a 3 spot for that. So, you know, and back in the day, he was a baller. He was a mover. He was a shaker until that night.
And were these guys all friends at one point?
Like I say, the older one, the guy that allegedly was squeezing, I was at his house with my old lady about 2 months before it happened. No, it happened in April, so the summer before it happened. But still, 6 months before it happened, we were all over there with our old ladies having a barbecue, steaks and potatoes and shit, and having a laugh and drinking beer together. And the next thing you know, he's you know, doing that to the poor guy out in the parking lot. So
it was pretty wild.
Yeah. But and like I say, that whole night that switched up. I hear my dogs. If you want to know, I'm looking over there. That whole night changed my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like before that, there was a lot of substances that I would never put into my own body. And after that, it took a while, but I changed. You
Did you
know,
just not care anymore? Is that
I
the
I
reason
I,
why?
I think so, and I was starting to get in that frame of mind where I was getting into it like heavy, right? So there's always someone waiting somewhere for you, so you may as well make today like it's your last, because maybe it is. You know,
I mean, being involved with the club, you never know, right?
yeah, and like I say, I was getting involved with heavier people and doing more things, and I spent my whole time on the highway, usually with the road dog with me, all tooled up, going to Toronto and working with the Mafia down there. I did tons of work for them guys. And they'd send me here and send me there and go see that guy and remind him he's got bills to pay, and I'd go do that.
Now, what if guys wouldn't pay the money? What would you do?
We just keep sending guys back. I'd go down, then I'd send another couple guys and send another couple guys. Some went smooth, some didn't.
Yeah.
There was times I walked into a guy's place of work with my club clothing on, not the patch, just my club clothing. And I said, "Is so and so here?" And they're like, "No, he's not here." I said, "That's too bad. I need to speak to him." "Okay, thanks. I'll come back tomorrow." Well, the next day before he went to work, he went to whoever it was and paid his bill. He didn't want me going back there again.
Yeah.
I just walked in the building and spoke like that. But yeah, we had some good adventures back then.
What do you think about this guy, the Icepick Trammell, the guy that got arrested that was going to war with the HA, the street gang guy? You hear about him?
No, is that just new?
Yeah. He was a Mafia blood family member.
Oh, the guys in Quebec?
Yeah, BMF.
Yeah. There's a couple guys out there that with their own channels that spend a lot of time on that. But I watched a guy from Canada, that crafty one, I think he's called.
Yeah. Shout out to Crafty One. He's
Yeah.
he's a great guy. He's got a good show.
Yeah, he's got the French accent.
Yeah.
I've been watching that. Well, and see, I think the only reason that the Angels are fighting back is because of how it looks. I don't think they need that business anymore. I think that they've moved on.
Yeah.
I don't know 100%, but I think that they're into other stuff. And that stuff down on street level, that should be left to the support clubs anyway.
Yeah, they don't need to. What do you think? The Outlaws have been in the news recently.
In the States, they have, yeah.
Yeah, down in Florida. Pretty wild story there with the alleged outlaw. They say it was an outlaw. We don't really know, but there's a video floating around of a guy on a bike in a cut, with an outlaw cut, shooting at a car. What do you think of that situation?
Well, the only reason that anyone would do that on their bike is because they thought that car had bad intentions for it. So
Yeah.
whether that car had been brought to his attention somewhere else, or whether he'd seen that car doing something shady somewhere else, or mix it up for another one that looked just like it.
I mean, if you were on your bike and there was a guy holding a cell phone,
yeah,
and you didn't know what was in his hand or didn't know what his intentions were.
But that's the problem. You don't really know what's in his hands. Now, me, I don't know if I'd have fucking put lead in the air, but you don't know unless you're in that spot, right? Me, I probably would have stopped up and see what he was all about, but because you can get your bike and get off the bike and be in position before he ever gets his van stopped. If he is someone that's trying to hurt you, because
I mean, you can slow down, let him go, right? See if he's, yeah.
But when we had that club over from Germany and we took him down, it was a major divided highway, 2 lanes each direction. And I was driving the block vehicle behind the pack. And my instructions were nobody goes beside the pack. End of story. And we were going down through some busy sections of highway and nobody went beside the pack. Sorry, people. It's just not happening.
I mean, so what do you block? Do you block
I
the highway so that they can't get around?
Yep. Yep. If they try to get around me on the left, I go left. They try to get around me on the right, I go right. Yep. But that was I was told. No vehicles go beside this back. So, and I was in the hang around stage back then. So I did it. We had, and then we got to the party, and the one guy from Germany and the little English that he could speak, right, broken English. He's you're driving good. Thanks, bro. So
Are
then,
you when you're a hang around? Is it nerve wracking?